Everything has to be paid for. The United States maintains 155 national cemeteries containing approximately 4.9 million graves. Annual budget for the National Cemetery Administration, approximately $325 million. But this is just federal cemeteries. Add Department of Defense cemeteries, state veteran cemeteries, private military cemeteries, and memorials, and annual spending exceeds $3 billion. France spends approximately $150 million annually maintaining World War I memorials, cemeteries, and battlefield sites 107 years after the war ended. Belgium spends approximately $75 million annually on WWI commemoration infrastructure, maintaining memory of a war that ended before most living people were born. This episode reveals the economics of remembrance, how every war death creates a century-long financial obligation, why the infrastructure of memory costs billions in perpetuity, and how conflicts that ended generations ago still appear in national budgets today. The lifetime cost per casualty. Every military death creates immediate and long-term costs beyond the loss of life itself. Immediate death costs. Recovery and identification, $10,000, $50,000. Transportation home, $5,000, $30,000. Funeral and burial with military honors, $10,000, $20,000. Death benefit to family, $100,000, $400,000. Life insurance payout, $400,000. Total immediate cost, approximately $525,000, $900,000 per death. But the costs continue for decades. Burial site costs. Plot allocation and preparation included in cemetery operations. Headstone, $500, $3,000. Perpetual care, $100, $500 annually for decades. Memorial infrastructure. Names on memorials, $500 or $5,000 per name depending on memorial type. Maintenance of memorial site, share of millions spent annually. Administrative costs. Records maintenance, ongoing. Family support services, ongoing. Commemoration ceremonies, annual. The long-term costs over 50 to 100 years exceed the immediate cost. A cemetery plot maintained for 100 years at $200 annually costs $20,000 just for maintenance. Total lifetime memory cost per casualty, approximately $50,000, $100,000 beyond immediate death costs. This means each military death costs not $500,000, $900,000, but $550,000, $1,000 when including a century of remembrance obligations. The cemetery infrastructure economics. Military cemeteries require permanent infrastructure. Arlington National Cemetery, 639 acres. Approximately 400,000 graves. 30-35 burials per day. Annual operating budget, approximately $75 to $80 million. Cost per grave annually, approximately $188 to $200 for maintenance, operations, groundskeeping, administration. Multiply by 400,000 graves, $75 to $80 million annually. This cost continues forever. Arlington has burials from the Civil War, 1860s. Those graves still require maintenance 160 years later. The National Cemetery Administration maintains 155 cemeteries, totaling approximately 4.9 million graves. Annual budget, $325 million. Cost per grave annually, approximately $66. These costs don't decrease as cemeteries fill. They increase as more graves require maintenance. The Department of Veterans Affairs projects that by 2045, national cemeteries will hold approximately 6 million graves. At current per-grave costs, annual budget requirement of $400+ million, that's 25% increase from today. The infrastructure scales with casualties. Every war adds to permanent maintenance obligations. The memorial construction economics. Beyond cemeteries, memorials require massive capital investment. The World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. Construction cost, $182 million. Completed 2004, 59 years after the war ended. Annual maintenance, approximately $1 to $2 million. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Construction cost, $8.4 million, 1982. Annual maintenance, approximately $500,000 or $1 million. 40-plus years of maintenance costs, approximately $40 million total. The National World War I Memorial. Construction cost, $50 million. Completed 2021, 103 years after the war ended. Ongoing maintenance, estimated $500,000 or $1 million annually. These are just federal memorials in Washington. Add state memorials in every state. Local memorials in thousands of towns. International memorials, U.S. cemeteries in Europe, Asia, etc. Total U.S. spending on memorial construction and maintenance, estimated $35 billion annually across all levels of government. They said, we must honor the fallen. They got a permanent budget line item that grows with each conflict and never decreases. The international cemetery costs. The U.S. maintains 26 military cemeteries overseas containing approximately 220,000 graves, according to the American Battle Monuments Commission. Annual ABMC budget, approximately $8,100 million. These cemeteries are in France, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, England, Italy, Philippines, Tunisia, Panama, and other locations, primarily from WWI and W2. France maintains approximately 270 French military cemeteries domestically, plus numerous monuments. Annual spending approximately $60–80 million. The United Kingdom maintains military cemeteries globally through the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. Annual budget approximately $75–85 million, $95–108 million. Germany maintains military cemeteries in multiple countries. Annual spending approximately $50–70 million. Russia maintains Soviet war memorials and cemeteries internationally. Estimated annual spending $50–100 million. Global spending on military cemetery maintenance by all countries, estimated $500–750 million annually. This is permanent spending for wars that ended 75–110 years ago. The obligations never expire. The battlefield preservation costs. Many countries preserve battlefield sites as memorials, creating additional permanent costs. Gettysburg National Military Park, U.S. Civil War. Annual budget, approximately $10–12 million. Visitor services, preservation, interpretation, maintenance. Petty War ended 1865, 159 years ago. Verdun Battlefield, WWI. Annual maintenance by French government, approximately $15–20 million, $19–25 million. Includes forest management, unexploded ordnance removal, memorial maintenance, visitor facilities. Battle ended 1916, 108 years ago. Normandy beaches and D-Day sites. French government spending, approximately $20–30 million annually. U.S. contributions through ABMC, approximately $20–30 million annually. Combined, approximately $50–70 million annually. D-Day 1944, 80 years ago. These battlefield sites generate tourism revenue that partially offsets costs, but the net cost to governments remains substantial. The economic question, Should society spend millions annually maintaining battlefield sites from conflicts that ended a century ago? The political answer, always yes. Reducing spending on war memorials is politically impossible. The commemoration event economics. Annual remembrance ceremonies generate ongoing costs. Memorial Day in the United States. Federal government costs, ceremonies, presidential wreath laying, etc., approximately $10–15 million. State and local government costs, approximately $50–100 million. Private organization costs, American Legion, VFW, etc., approximately $25–50 million. Total annual Memorial Day commemoration costs, approximately $85 or $165 million. Veterans Day. Similar scale of commemoration. Annual costs, approximately $75–150 million total across all levels. Remembrance Day, Armistice Day in Commonwealth countries. UK annual costs, approximately $30–50 million, $38–63 million. Canada, Australia, New Zealand combined, approximately $50–75 million. France's Armistice Day. Annual costs, approximately $30–50 million, $38–63 million. Global annual spending on commemoration ceremonies, estimated $500 million to $1 billion. These ceremonies honor the fallen. They also represent permanent annual expenses for wars that ended decades or centuries ago. The repatriation cost spiral. Efforts to repatriate remains create additional expenses. The Defense POW/MIA Accounting Agency has an annual budget of approximately $150–175 million to locate, recover, and identify remains of missing American service members from past conflicts. Since 1973, approximately 2,500 individuals have been identified and returned. Cost per identification, approximately $2 to $3 million. Current number of unaccounted for personnel. Weigh approximately 72,000. Korean War, approximately 7,500. Vietnam War, approximately 1,500. Other conflicts, approximately 700. If all were recovered at current costs, $160 to $240 billion total. This is obviously impossible, but the agency will continue operating indefinitely, searching for remains, spending $150+ million annually forever, because the mission can never be fully completed. France's recovery efforts for WWI and WT remains. Annual spending, approximately $10–20 million. Ongoing despite 75 to 110 years since conflicts ended. New remains still discovered regularly in former battle zones. The repatriation obligation is permanent and expensive. The name documentation costs. Recording and maintaining casualty records creates permanent administrative costs. The U.S. maintains detailed records of all military casualties since the Civil War. Annual cost of maintaining these databases, archives, and making them accessible, approximately $20–30 million. The Commonwealth War Graves Commission maintains records of 1.7 million Commonwealth war dead. Annual cost of database maintenance, genealogy services, and public access, approximately $15 to $25 million, $19 to $31 million. These databases require continuous updating, digitization, and maintenance. The costs continue indefinitely. The living memorial costs. Some memorials require ongoing operational spending beyond maintenance. The 9/11 Memorial Museum. Annual operating budget, approximately $70 to $80 million. Revenue from admissions and donations, approximately $50–60 million. Net public subsidy required approximately $15 to $25 million annually. The Holocaust Memorial Museum. Annual federal appropriation, approximately $60–65 million. Additional private fundraising, approximately $15 to $20 million. Total annual operations, approximately $75 to $85 million. These museums serve important educational purposes. They also represent permanent budget obligations for events that occurred decades ago. The comparative analysis. Military memorial spending exceeds spending on many living programs. U.S. annual spending on military cemeteries and memorials, approximately $3+ billion. For comparison, federal spending on homeless veteran services, approximately $2.5 to $3 billion. VA mental health services budget, approximately $9 billion for all veterans, not just combat-related. Society spends comparable amounts honoring dead service members as it does addressing homelessness among living veterans. This isn't an argument against memorial spending. It's an observation about priorities. The dead receive permanent, untouchable budget lines. The living receive contested, fluctuating appropriations. The generational cost transfer. Memorial costs transfer across generations who didn't experience the conflicts. Americans born after 2000 have no living memory of WPOO, Korea, or Vietnam. Yet they pay taxes that fund cemeteries, memorials, and repatriation efforts for these conflicts. By 2050, no living veterans of WW2 will remain. The memorial infrastructure will continue requiring hundreds of millions annually, paid for by people with no personal connection to the conflict. France maintains WWI memorials with funding from taxpayers born 80+ years after the war. These taxpayers' great-great-grandparents fought. They themselves have no direct connection, yet they pay. This is the permanent cost transfer of memory. Each generation pays for the memorialization of conflicts they never experienced. The political impossibility of reduction. Memorial spending can never be reduced without political catastrophe. Proposing to reduce cemetery maintenance budgets is political suicide, accused of dishonoring the fallen. Suggesting some 100-year-old memorials don't require ongoing maintenance is unthinkable. Questioning whether battlefield sites from centuries-old wars need multi-million-dollar annual budgets is taboo. The result: memorial spending only increases, never decreases. Each new conflict adds to the permanent cost base. The accumulation effect. Memorial costs accumulate across conflicts. U.S. current memorial spending includes Revolutionary War and War of 1812, minimal but non-zero. Civil War, approximately $100 to $200 million annually. Spanish-American War, minimal. WWI, approximately $200 to $300 million annually. We, approximately $500 to $700 million annually. Korea, approximately $200 to $300 million annually. Vietnam, approximately $300 to $400 million annually. Persian Gulf Wars, approximately $100 to $200 million annually. Afghanistan, Iraq, growing, currently approximately $200 to $300 million annually, will increase for decades. Total, approximately $3 to $4 billion annually and rising. Each conflict adds layers of permanent costs. The base never decreases because memorial obligations never expire. By 2050, if current trends continue, U.S. memorial spending could reach $5 to $6 billion annually. The alternative cost calculations: $3 billion annually could fund full college scholarships for 60,000 students per year, healthcare for approximately 150,000 uninsured people, housing assistance for approximately 200,000 families, significant mental health services for living veterans. Society chooses to spend this money on memory instead. This is a values choice, not an economic one. The economic question is, does spending $3 billion annually on memorial infrastructure serve the public good as effectively as alternative uses of those funds? The political answer makes the economic question irrelevant. Memorial spending is untouchable regardless of cost or alternative uses. The system revelation. War memory is an industry. It employs thousands. It requires billions. It grows continuously. Every new conflict adds to permanent memorial obligations that future generations must fund. The costs are hidden in the sense that they're small relative to total government budgets, but they're real and they're permanent. A nation that fights a war in 2024 commits not just to the immediate costs, but to memory costs for the next century. Cemeteries maintained until 2124, memorials built in 2040-2060, commemoration ceremonies every year until 2124, repatriation efforts continuing until 2100. The true cost of war includes not just bullets and bombs, but granite and grass, bronze and bureaucracy, maintained forever. Everything has to be paid for, and war memorials are paid for not once in their construction, but infinitely in perpetual cemetery maintenance, annual commemoration ceremonies, ongoing repatriation efforts, and monument preservation that continues long after everyone who fought or remembered the war has died, creating an industry of memory that employs thousands and costs billions to honor those who paid the ultimate price. Subscribe to The Price of Conflict to understand how war costs extend centuries beyond the final battle.